My family said Thanksgiving turkey was for family only, then pushed the platter away from my 10-year-old son. Hi, I'm Mark, 41. And I used to think family is family until mine looked at my son like he was a stray dog begging at their table. The fork in my hand was halfway to my mouth when she said it. Caroline, my sister, my older sister, if you want the flavor of our family hierarchy. Sweetheart, she cooed across the table, over candles and clinking silverware at my 10-year-old son, Luke. Thanksgiving turkey is for family. The whole room paused like a sitcom just hit a punchline no one wanted to laugh at. But someone did. A little titter, then another. The kind of laughter that grows from discomfort, then feeds itself to survive. Luke froze. Plate held up, eyes blinking like he misheard. He hadn't. The turkey platter, glistening and golden, had already been nudged an inch further away by Caroline's manicured hand. You can have more potatoes. Luke, she added brightly, like she was tossing a bone. Didn't you already have pizza at your dad's this week? I sat very still. My hand was still wrapped around the handle of the fork. My thumb trembled. One of those unconscious tremors that starts small, then spreads. Nobody spoke. My mother took a long sip of wine. My dad focused on carving the turkey like it was brain surgery. Nodded. One quick, too fast bob of the head. It's okay, he said. Tiny voice. Not okay at all. It wasn't just the turkey. God, I wish it was just the turkey. It was the board game birthday, the cropped out photos, the Six Flags trip that somehow had all the grandkids in the photo. Except mine. I looked at my son. Shoulders hunched, hoodie sleeves covering his hands, plate now with a lonely scoop of mashed potatoes. No gravy. His bottom lip was tucked in, bitten down to hide whatever expression might break through. He didn't argue. He didn't say, I am family. He just lowered the plate slowly, like he understood something I'd spent too long pretending wasn't true. I stood, quiet, calm. Hey, buddy said, putting my hand on his back. Grab your hoodie, he blinked. Where are we going? Home. Silence. For a second, I thought maybe someone would stop us. Say, wait, that was too far. Say, sit down, Luke. Of course, you get turkey, but no one did. We left, and by the time, booked the Bahamas. My mind was already made up. We didn't speak much on the drive home. Luke sat in the back, his chin resting on the edge of his seatbelt, staring out the window like he was watching a movie he didn't like, but didn't know how to stop. His plate of Thanksgiving dinner had ended up being 3 cold chicken tenders and a large fries from a drive-thru, eaten in the parking lot with the dome light casting soft shadows on his face. He didn't complain. He never does. But when he dipped his fries in honey instead of ketchup, his fancy thing, I saw his hand shake a little, like mine had. A tea home. He didn't ask about the family, not once. Just went up to his room, got into pajamas, and opened his astronomy book. I lingered in the doorway, watching his eyes track the page. My chest hurt, not sharp, not sudden, but like a weight had settled there, and I couldn't shift it. He didn't deserve that. I'd been the one making peace offerings for years, covering mortgage payments like tithes in a church where my son wasn't welcome in the pews. I bought silence, politeness, access, but not belonging. After he fell asleep, I sat on the couch with my laptop glowing in the dark, spreadsheet open. I'd been paying $1,480 a month for 3 years. That night, I canceled the auto pay to Caroline's mortgage. No warning, no fight. Just clicked cancel and watched the email confirmation land like a clean break. And then I booked it. 7 nights. Bahamas. First class seats. A resort with water slides and snorkeling and no one saying he didn't belong. $23,000, 15 months of someone else's roof. Now ours. I didn't post right away. I wanted it to be for us, not them. But I wasn't going to hide it either. The photos went up the day we got back. Luke in snorkel gear. The plane wing, with his hand pressing the recline button. Caption, thankful looked a little different this year. It took 12 minutes for my phone to ring. Are you hiding money from us? Caroline's voice crackled through the speaker like a wire under too much tension. I'd barely said hello. She wasn't calling to catch up. She was calling because I posted pictures of turquoise water and first-class seats while she was still scraping stuffing off the floor of my parents' dining room. Because suddenly, the person paying her mortgage looked like he was having fun. Without her, Todd saw the post, she said, and freaked out. They couldn't understand how I'd afforded it. Bahamas? First class? A week off? That's when I said it, I told her. I paused paying your mortgage. She went dead silent. Then, you what? I walked into the kitchen, barefoot, salt still dusted across my shoes from our last walk on the beach. I canceled the payment. Last week. Sam, you can't do that, she hissed. We built our budget around that money. You built your budget around my money, I corrected. And then told my son he wasn't family enough for a slice of turkey. She tried to spin it, of course. Said it was a joke. That I was overreacting. That mom's been crying for days. Mom can cry, I said. She can also remember to put more than mashed potatoes on the table when my kid's sitting there. You're punishing my children, Caroline said, her voice twisting sharp. They'll lose the house. We'll lose everything. Think about the children. I said. Mine. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just stated the truth. Plain and simple. I'd spent 3 years paying to be part of a family that wouldn't even serve my kid a plate. She tried guilt. Said I was abandoning them. That I'd changed. You're right, I said. I have. I hung up. Then I turned my phone to Do Not Disturb and joined Luke on the floor, where he was building a Lego space station. With a look of quiet focus I hadn't seen in a long time. He didn't ask about the call. But later, while brushing his teeth, he said, Dad, you're not mad at Aunt Caroline? I paused in the doorway. I'm not mad, I said. I'm just done pretending. Nodded slowly, foam on his chin. Good, he said. Me too. The fallout came fast. Within 24 hours, my mother left a voicemail in that fragile tone she only uses when trying to sound worried without admitting she's mad. Sammy, sweetheart, we need to talk. Your sister is hysterical. The bank is calling. You can't just pull support like that. We're family. That word, family, it always comes up when I'm supposed to hand over money or forgive something no one apologized for. I texted her back. I won't fund a family my son isn't part of. She replied almost immediately. No one said Luke isn't family. Caroline made a silly comment. Don't throw away years of love over turkey, as if that was the problem. As if that one moment hadn't just unmasked every quiet slight before it. It's about 3 years of showing him he's second tier. No more. I muted the chat. Next was my dad. A single text, stiff as always. Your mother is sick over this. I raised you better than to hold money over people's heads. I stared at that one for a while before replying. You raised me to pay everyone's bills and take any treatment. I'm raising Luke different. No answer. That night, I made mac and cheese with garlic breadcrumbs and roasted broccoli, Luke's favorite. We watched Apollo 13 under a blanket and didn't talk about the messages still piling up in my inbox. The next morning, Caroline switched tactics. She sent photos, a past due mortgage notice, a picture of her youngest on the couch with wide eyes and a caption, "Hope you're happy." Another text, "If we lose the house, it's on you." I finally replied. If you lose the house, it's because you lived in one you couldn't afford and treated the person covering it like an ATM. Then I blocked her. It was weirdly quiet after that. I didn't realize I'd been living with was suddenly gone. No urgent calls about car trouble. No guilt trips about back to school supplies. No, just checking in texts that turned into a list of bills by paragraph 3. And for the first time in years, my money felt like mine. I moved the $1,200 monthly from the old family support bucket to a new one I labeled Luke and me. In December, we used it for little things. A telescope upgrade, new winter jackets that didn't itch, tickets to the planetarium. Not to escape anything, just to build something better. One ordinary Saturday at a time. Christmas came. We weren't invited. The family posted a photo in matching pajamas under my parents' tree. Caroline's kids. My parents. Even the baby niece in her polka dot onesie. The caption, "All of us together." Just like always. Luke saw it while we were baking cookies. He looked at the photo, then down at his rolling pin. "I like our pajamas better," he said. "Navy blue with planets. Mine had Saturn. His had Jupiter." "Me too," I said. And I meant it. I bought a corkboard and started pinning things to it. The Bahamas photo of us snorkeling. The confirmation printout from our trip. A receipt from that night at the movies when we ate too much popcorn and stayed for the credits. A life that looked like ours. a week before the next Thanksgiving, I booked a lakeside cabin with 2 bedrooms, mismatched dishes, and a dock that looked like it might fall into the water if you sneezed too hard. I texted Jenna, my cousin, the only one who'd quietly messaged, "For what it's worth, you did the right thing," and invited her and her twins. When we set the table, Luke noticed 2 empty chairs at the end. "Who are those for?" he asked. I thought about it. "For people who chose not to be here," I said. He nodded, went back to lining up the cranberry slices like medals. Later, when the turkey was ready, I carved the first piece and put it on Luke's plate. "This is for the heart of the family," I said. He laughed. "Weird line, Dad. You're stuck with my writing. I'll allow it." After dinner, he handed me a folded paper. He'd drawn a little table, stick figure versions of us, Jenna's twins, 2 empty chairs with question marks. At the top, he'd written in big careful letters, "Thanksgiving equals me plus Dad, plus people who act like family." Me throat burned. I taped it to the fridge right next to the snorkeling photo. I didn't respond to my mom's Happy Thanksgiving text. She hadn't mentioned Luke. Not once. Turns out, I hadn't left the family. I just finally stopped dragging my son to a table where love came with conditions, and made our own, where he never had to wonder if he belonged. The Sunday after our second Thanksgiving away, I found Luke in the living room building a Lego rover on the coffee table. One of Jenna's twins had left behind a glove, which he'd helpfully stuffed with cotton balls and declared an alien artifact. The cabin had been perfect wood smoke, card games, hot cocoa from packets that didn't really taste like chocolate but somehow tasted exactly like childhood. I sat across from him, still in my hoodie, watching him place each piece with quiet focus. The room felt warm in that exact way my parents' house never did, even with the thermostat at 74. "So," I said, "top 3 Thanksgiving moments?" He paused, smiled. "The pie fight," he said. "When Jenna's kid sneezed on the whipped cream and still tried to eat it, that was so gross, but funny." He looked down again, added a solar panel to the side of the rover, "and when we made the cranberry sauce line up like a dragon, that was excellent culinary engineering." He was quiet for a second. "And the empty chairs?" I raised an eyebrow. "Really?" he nodded. "I liked that you left room. You didn't just forget them. You just didn't let them ruin it." That landed harder than anything Caroline had ever said. I'd been wondering if I was shielding him too much, overcorrecting, over-explaining, trying to make up for years of exclusion with trips and telescope lenses and exactly folded pajamas. But he saw it. All of it. He just understood now that he wasn't the one who was missing something. That night, I updated our corkboard, took down an old electric bill reminder I no longer needed because I wasn't bleeding money into someone else's problems anymore, and replaced it with Luke's drawing of the Thanksgiving table. I wrote 2024 in the corner, then sat down with a pen and a yellow pad and started sketching out a new kind of tradition. A few days later, Jenna called. "Hey," she said. "So, Christmas?" I smiled. "Bring the chaos. We've got space." She laughed. "You sure?" "Positive." So we hosted. No big tree with themed ornaments. No matching sweaters. Just kids in fuzzy socks, lasagna instead of ham, and a house full of noise that didn't sting. The family group chat stayed silent except for one text on Christmas Eve from my mom. No photo, no greeting, just, "I hope you're proud of yourself." I didn't answer, because I was. For the first time in a long time, I actually was. Proud that I'd stopped asking for space where there was none. Proud that I'd protected Luke not just from obvious hurt, but from the slow, quiet corrosion of conditional belonging. That night, Luke came out in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes. "Can I sleep on the couch near the tree?" he asked. "Sure," I said, grabbing him a blanket. He curled up under the lights, his little space-themed pillow tucked under his head. "I like it better this way," he murmured, already half asleep. "Me too," I whispered. Then I folded the extra blanket from the closet, the one we used to bring when we visited family, and packed it away for good. In January, the silence from my family shifted from offense to strategy. Caroline unblocked me long enough to send one final message. "We're doing fine, by the way. Thought you'd want to know." "Not that you care." I didn't reply. Not out of anger, just exhaustion. Like when someone slams a door for the 5th time, and you finally stop reacting. From what Jenna told me, they refinanced the mortgage. Todd picked up extra shifts doing drywall out in Fort Worth. My parents, predictably, stepped in to help, which probably meant loaning them money under the table while whispering about my absence like I'd died tragically, not just stopped writing checks. I focused on other things. Luke and I started a Sunday ritual. Breakfast at the Greasy Diner 2 blocks down. Same booth every time. We'd split a cinnamon roll the size of his face and talk about anything school, aliens, why dogs hate vacuum cleaners. No agenda, just time. It cost $22 and felt like the most valuable hour of my week. A tea night. We'd work through a space documentary series. Luke would ask 10,000 questions. I'd answer half. The rest we'd Google together. One evening, in late February, after finishing an episode about Europa, he turned to me and said, "Do you think we'll ever find another place like Earth?" I paused. "I think Earth is kind of the point." He nodded, thinking it over. "So if we mess it up, we don't get another?" "Not one like this." He was quiet for a second. "Same with family, huh?" That hit me harder than I expected. "Sort of," I said. "But sometimes, you realize the planet you thought was home was just a stop on the way to something better." He smiled. "So we're astronauts?" Every day, in March, Luke's teacher emailed me about a writing assignment. The prompt was describe your favorite place. Luke had written 2 pages about our living room on Sunday mornings. She included a photo, him sitting on the couch, legs tucked up, mug of cocoa in hand, completely at peace. I stared at it for a long time. He wasn't surviving anymore. He was safe. Fully. Finally, and the most incredible part, we didn't need anyone's permission. Spring brought the usual emails from my parents. Easter brunch details. A hope to see you there line at the bottom, like nothing had happened. I didn't answer. Luke didn't ask about it either. By then, he'd stopped checking for his name on group texts. He didn't pause at fridge photos looking for a cousin's face. He wasn't waiting to be claimed anymore. Instead, he was busy. He joined the school's Lego robotics club. He built a miniature rover that actually launched ping pong balls. We spent 3 straight Saturdays in the garage trying to make the wheelbase stop pulling left. I learned more about gear ratios than I ever wanted to know. One Saturday in April, I found him packing a small box in his room. I leaned against the doorframe. "Whatcha doing?" "Making a kit," he said, focused. "For when I go visit Mom this summer." Inside the box were a few Lego pieces, a flashlight, a little photo of us at the beach, folded carefully, and a note he'd written himself. "Don't forget, you're already enough." I didn't cry. Not really. Just blinked hard. Later that night, I sat at my laptop with my old personal finance spreadsheet open. The tab that used to be called Family Support was still there, grayed out. I renamed it Legacy. Underneath it, I created a new section, Sunday Breakfasts 100 Mo Trips with Luke 3,000 of your surprise joy budget 500 core. Terry didn't need to be someone's emergency fund anymore. I needed to be someone's foundation. In May, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something told me to pick up. "Hey," said a voice I hadn't heard in a while. It was Todd. There was a long pause before he spoke again. "I know things got weird." "Caroline." She took it too far. "We were under a lot of pressure, and you don't have to explain," I said. "Really? He sighed. "I wanted you to know. We're figuring things out." I picked up some new gigs. Caroline's back doing part-time admin stuff. "We're not drowning anymore." "Good," I said. And I meant it. He hesitated again. "She misses Luke." I didn't answer. "She's not great at saying sorry, but she knows she messed up." "I'm not interested in apologies that don't include his name," I said. "You want to make it right? Start with him." Another long silence. "Fair," Todd finally said. "Really fair." We hung up soon after. Luke never heard about the call. I didn't want to make a promise I couldn't keep. I wouldn't tell him they were different until they showed it. In June, Jenna invited us to her youngest's birthday. A backyard thing, simple and loud. Luke came home sunburned and sticky with frosting, and said it was way better than any party with weird rules. That night, he handed me another drawing. This one was a spaceship. Inside it were 2 stick figures, one with spiky hair, me, one with a square head and a t-shirt labeled Luke. The rocket was labeled Real Family. I pinned it up next to the rest. We weren't astronauts anymore. We'd landed. Thanksgiving came around again. And this time, Luke beat me to the punch. Are we doing our own thing again? He asked one morning in early November. Mouth full of cereal. Yep, I said. Already booked the cabin. He smiled and gave me a thumbs up. No hesitation, no questions, just trust. This year, we added a new wrinkle, paper name cards on the plates. Luke wrote them in big block letters. Mine said, Dad Pilot. His said, Luke Mission Specialist. Jenna and her twins each got their titles too, Navigator, Snack Director, and Backup Turkey Advisor. There were still 2 extra chairs at the end of the table. Luke slid folded cards in front of them. One read, Maybe someday. The other, Only if you're nice. We laughed until we cried. I roasted the turkey. Jenna brought pies. The twins tried to invent a new sport, using mashed potatoes and an empty soda can. It was ridiculous and warm and perfectly chaotic. After dinner, Luke curled up on the couch in front of the fireplace and said, This is the best table. What do you mean? I asked, sitting beside him. I mean, like, this one, this room, these people. He shrugged. It feels real, not like I'm just visiting. I nodded, my throat tight. You're not visiting, I said. You're the reason it exists. He leaned against me, head on my arm. Can we always do this? We already are. The next morning, I took down the old family group chat from my pinned messages and archived it. Not out of anger, but because I didn't need it anymore. We'd built something better, smaller, quieter, but honest. Luke asked once if he'd ever see Caroline again. I told him maybe, but only if she brought more than mashed potatoes and a fake smile. He nodded, satisfied. Then I'm good. Later, while packing up the car, he looked back at the cabin and said, This place feels like the first level of something. I smiled. It is. Level 1. Family that chooses you. He grinned, climbing into the car. Let's keep leveling up. We drove home under a sky full of stars. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I was leaving something behind. I felt like I was carrying it forward.